fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Shokugan modeling project Dairen'Oh from Gosei Sentai Dairanger. Now you may also recognize this as the Thunder Megazord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Footage of the mecha from Dairanger was used in the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So very excited for this one. I think this looks fantastic. Very excited to put it together and check it out. We know Wan Tiger, aka the Tiger Zord, is coming next year. And they're also doing the turtle as well. So I thought it was finally time to get moving on this, as the others will be coming before you know it. So the packaging here, everything's done in this green. Very fun pictures here around the outside of the box. If we open it up, it comes in 3 separate boxes. And I believe the packaging here is meant to emulate the original packaging of the mecha from back in the early 90s. So this would have been what Dairen'Oh looked like on store shelves in Japan, which is very cool. I think the first box has the dragon, and then the other 4 mecha are split between the other 2 boxes. So you can see we have the dragon, which has its own robot mode, and then when it combines with the other 4 mecha, you can do the sled, or you can do the full Dairen'Oh there. And then here on the back, also showing how all that goes together. Very cool, very excited for this. I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together, and then we'll take a closer look. So just a quick group shot of all 5 of the mecha. We have the dragon, we have the lion, we have the firebird, we have the unicorn. Now, in Japan, this is called Kirin, which is giraffe. Now, over here, we called it the griffin, I guess because we were trying to keep with kind of an all mythical animal thing. But then again, a lion's not really a mythical animal either. But I believe these animals all have like some kind of meaning in Chinese mythology. So that's what I guess they were going with for this one. So I'm just going to call it Kirin, I guess, which is again giraffe. But if you want to keep calling it the griffin, that's up to you as well. But yeah, they came out pretty great. A decent amount of stickers. I'm going to go ahead and move the dragon off to the side because obviously we have a lot to get into with him. And we'll just take a look at these 4 real quick. Not a ton of articulation with the exception of the firebird. So we have the lion here real quick. He looks pretty great. The mouth can open and close, which is nice. This section will open, which will become more important in the combined mode. But you can see we have the Dairangers there. That's a sticker, which I think is kind of cool. You have the helmet here connected to the back, the shoulders, and then the hands are here underneath. So he doesn't really have any articulation with the exception of the mouth opening and closing. But still, looks pretty good. This is all paint here on the face. They give you the option to put stickers over the sides here, but I don't know why I would do that if the face is fully painted. So I opted not to put those stickers on. Let's move on next to our unicorn and Kirin, which are the 2 legs. So in this mode, really no articulation. Now there is articulation in here for when they do become legs. I guess technically you can move the head back and forth and the mouths open, which is a nice touch. But that's pretty much it for these 2. Again, mouth can open, and technically this can move, and the heads can move a little bit. This little piece moves as well. I'm not really sure why, but it does. So not much in terms of articulation, but as you can see, there are a fair amount of stickers on both of these. So it did take quite a bit of time to apply all of the stickers. Pretty much everywhere you see detail, with the exception of maybe the eyes and like the head crest here, that's a different, colored plastic. Everything else is stickers. So it's a lot of stickers. And then moving on to the Firebird. Not as many stickers, just kind of like for this little bit here. The head is fully painted. The mouth can open and close, which is nice. And then you have this bit of articulation here at like the base of the skull and then the base of the neck. Again, mostly for the transformation. But you do have a wing flap here, as well as a joint here. And then you also have a joint here. So you can really do a decent amount. You can even lift this section up as well. So decent amount of articulation for the wings. Now some of that is going to be for when it becomes the belt in the combined mode. You also have these little feet that can pop up, which can be a little difficult to get out of here. I swear I've had no problem in the past getting this out of here. There we go. So this is going to help with the combination, but also kind of gives him little feet. And I also believe this is going to be very important for the combination with Wand Tiger, because that's probably going to pop into his fist, so this can become like his bladed weapon for the hand. So very, very cool there. But in the meantime, I'll just push these back down. So that is pretty much it for these four. Now the sled is included. Let me go ahead and bring that in here. And the cool thing about the sled, this is the connection for the Firebird, but it also has all these storage connections for extra pieces. So you do get an alternate face with the eyes lit up for when he kind of does the final attack with the sword. You get a second sword, so there is one where the blade is painted. This is one where it's unpainted. So if you want to keep one nicer, or maybe when it's in the sheath, you want to use the unpainted one. And then you get a couple of extra hands. Now this one, I'm not 100% sure what the purpose of this one is. It just has, I guess, like if you wanted to do a pose like that. I think it's for holding the sword and sheath, which I can go ahead and bring that in. And I think that's what this hand is used for. It's a little difficult. There we go. Maybe something like that. And then it has a hinge here at the wrist. So you do have some other like open-handed hands, but this one I think is specifically wide and made to hold the sheath of the sword, so you can kind of do that putting the sword away pose that we've seen several times. And you can just kind of pop these all in here to the side. You can peg in the extra blade. I mean, this does look a little ridiculous just jutting out to the side right here, but it is nice that it's included. And then you have this piece here, which is actually extra hands for the robot mode for the dragon. So we're going to take these off and put these off to the side for the moment. And then we can actually go ahead and connect these guys on here. So it's very simple. You see that there are two kind of peg spots right there. And then you have these two pegs right here on the front. So we're just going to drop this on here. And that kind of pops on like so. And keeps that in place pretty well. We're going to go ahead and pop these on. So there are these little pegs right here. And then there's these little peg holes right here on the bottom. So we're just going to bring this in and peg that down. Do the same over here. And it can be a little difficult to line up, but not impossible. It's just kind of hard to get light in there so you can see where you're pegging it in, to be quite honest. There we go. And then, of course, the Firebird just pops right on top of here. Like so. So there we go. Now they are all connected to the sled. And again, pretty solid. Not going anywhere, not falling out. I remember the original DX toy, they just kind of like rested in a little channel. But these are actually pegged in, so it's pretty solid. You could fly it upside down. But the problem is there's nowhere really for the robot mode of the dragon to peg in. He just kind of stands in there, which is my only complaint about this sled. I wish there was, one, even if it was just one, maybe not both legs, but just to be able to peg in one. There is this little connection down here. If you can see where my finger is, right behind the head of the dragon, or I should say the tail of the dragon, the head of the combined mode. And I don't really know what that's for. If I'm being completely honest, I don't really know what that's for, but it's there, and I'm not 100% sure. But otherwise, pretty solid, nice connection. Let's go ahead and bring the dragon back in. So I think the dragon looks spectacular. These stickers here along the sides look really nice. Now, some people have mentioned, and I've noticed it ever so slightly, there is some problems, I would say, right around in this area, probably right around here. You can almost kind of see it. When you go to connect this to form Dairen'Oh, there's these little U-clips that clip onto the side of the legs. And when you're trying to take them out, it can rub this sticker a little bit. Now, it's not the biggest problem. I've only combined it and taken it apart once, and you can kind of see how there's like a little notch out of the sticker right there. Otherwise, it still looks pretty good, but definitely something to be careful of. When you're taking it out, what I like to try to do is kind of, if I can, it's a very small area, but if I can kind of open the clip a little bit as I take the leg out so it's not scraping. But yeah, if you're someone who is in favor of pristine stickers, I really don't know how you're going to combat the issue if you want to transform it back and forth. For me, I can kind of live with it over here on the back. You can see it here as well. It's a little indented right there. But otherwise, I think the stickers themselves look really good. The dragon looks great. You have an articulation point here, here, here. So if you want to kind of, you know, craft the tail, you can move this up and down. You can move this. This can rotate. This can move as well as rotate. You can move the foot up if you wish. So you can move the foot there. You have a movement point right here. Technically, you could move this side to side here if you wanted. That's a movement point. There's another movement point right here. So you can definitely do what you want with the tail. Over here on the front, same thing. You have a hinge here, here, here. This is a rotation, hinge here, rotation. And then you have the dragon head, which I think they did a really nice job on. It is mostly painted. Just this little bit here where my thumb is. I believe this is fully painted and the full head of the dragon is fully painted. These are different color plastic. Mouth can open and close. You can move this around side to side. So really nice articulation points there for the entire length of the dragon. Down here on the arms, you can open and close the little hands. You can move these up and down. You can it's kind of similar to the DX version where it has like that swivel for when it condenses in. So you can utilize any of that. You can also swivel this around. So again, really, really nice in terms of the dragon mode. I think they did a really great job. But let's go ahead, let's transform it into its robot mode. So you're going to want to start by removing the head and the tail. So you want to disconnect the red from the black right here at the back of the head. And that can be a little difficult just because of the head, but there we go. It hangs over a little bit, but you can definitely get it. So put that off to the side. We are going to flip this connection into the bottom of the foot, and that just stores away right there. We are going to remove the tail as well. That's just a little connection. And then this will also fold down into the bottom of the foot. We are going to take these two pieces. You'll come down. You can see that there's an obvious connection right here and here. So bring this down like this and connect those together. Then you can just kind of start straightening out the legs and fold up the feet. Now, there's this weird connection here. You don't have to move this if you don't want to, but we are going to have to do it later on for the combined mode. So you're actually going to disconnect this here at the red and the black sections. And you can see how there's this extra section here with two connections. And then you're going to flip this piece that was pegged into that down and then peg this back in. And that's going to give him a waist swivel. So again, you don't have to do it now, but you can. We're definitely going to need to do it later. Oh, you know what? I have this backwards. I was like, wait a minute, this is wrong. So let me swivel these around. This is the correct way it should be facing. So again, if you don't want to do it now, you don't have to, but if you do it now, it will give you a waist swivel. You will definitely have to do it for the full combined mode later on. Then we're going to collapse the arms in on themselves, very similar to how the DX toy transformed. So close these in. Then we can start to bring the arms down. Now at this point, I like to kind of rotate them like this to give them an elbow. You don't have to. If you want to keep it straight down like that, you can. But I want to kind of rotate that in to give them an elbow. This section is going to flip around. This will flip around. And then this will flip down. Now, I think the DX toy, there was a connection here. This doesn't have that, but it still sits perfectly fine and it's not an issue. Let me zoom out ever so slightly. So we're going to take the tail. We are going to fold this down. And then you can see that there's a peg right there, which will peg in right there. So we're going to pop that right there like so. Then we're going to take the dragon head, and just like the DX toy, we're going to flip this down to expose the robot head, fold the bottom jaw up. And then there's a large tab right here, which is going to tab in straight right there. So this just pops right in. And then you can fold these pieces down around the head. And there we go. There is our combined Dragon Robo mode, which does have a name that is escaping me. I want to say Ryuseiho? I'm going to guess that. That's my guess. Could be wrong. If I am, feel free to correct me in the comments. I apologize. But yeah, he looks great. Let's get into his articulation. So first thing right off the bat, if you like the little dragon hands, you can absolutely keep those. But if you do not, you can slide them all off, and they're just on this little track. So you can see the track piece there, and it just slides in right there. But if you want to pop all of these off, and I have to admit, I was never a big fan of these hands with the original DX toy, but you can slide all those off, and then you can bring in those hands that I showed off earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this one off, and we'll go with this one. We'll put these off to the side, and then you just take these, and they have two tracks. You're going to want to use whichever one makes sense, and slide that over top, and now you have a normal hand. And then we're going to slide this one over top of this. And again, if you want the elbow, you can, still move the hand around, whatever you want. If you want to kind of leave it more traditional, you can do that, whatever you prefer. But now he has normal looking arms with nice big hands. That's really, really cool. So articulation wise, well, first let's take a look at the head sculpt. Again, fully painted head, no stickers there. Looks phenomenal. That's on a ball joint, so you can look forward, down, not a ton, but you can. Side to side, no problem. You can even tilt a little side to side. You have a swivel here. You have a butterfly joint, which is very nice. You have a swivel here right above the elbow. You have that kind of elbow joint there. And then you have a swivel here for your new wrist. If you did the disconnection and reconnection, you do have that little bit of a waist swivel, but the skirt piece here, the tail piece does get in the way. You can kick forward. He does have a hip. It's kind of integrated into this piece here. Can't kick backwards at all. You have a thigh swivel. Of course, you can go out to the side as well. You have nice knee joint, and it actually has a piece so that it kind of looks like it's connected. Now, if you keep going all the way back, eventually you'll start to see, but for the most part, it does look like a pretty nice connected knee joint. And then you have front to back. Unfortunately, no ankle tilt, and that's really my only complaint with this robot mode. Otherwise, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I wish it had ankle tilt. I'm assuming it doesn't because of the combined mode. And of course, let's go ahead and bring his staff in. Now, these gold pieces here are stickers, but everything else is different colored plastic. So we will go ahead and disconnect this, and then we just slide it through the hand. And then peg it back together. And there you go. He's got that really cool... Oh, you know what? I think I remember now. I just had a bit of a brain flash. I remember seeing something in the direction. So I believe if we disconnect Lion temporarily, this thing here is so that you can peg the staff into it. I believe this is correct. And then he can kind of do that move he does where he kind of does like a flying kick off the staff. And I think that's what that piece is for. You can connect that to that so that you can kind of display him doing that. Now, does it support his weight all that well? Not really. Does it look like something else? Yes, it does. So I'm not going to utilize that. But it is there. So if you want to connect his staff to that, he can kind of do that flying, plant the staff and then do the lunging flying kick thing. So that's what that's for. And then you can go ahead and drop him here in the middle, and he looks very good in the middle of the sled. Again, I wish he connected in there somehow, but he does not. But one thing I really, really like. You might be saying to yourself, I really like those new hands, but what do I do with these old little dragon hands? Well, you can actually flip the sled upside down, And there are little channels here for you to go ahead and connect the little dragon hands underneath. They will slide into place. You just have to make sure you line it up, because they do kind of have like a little wall next to them. So you have to attach them to the correct ones. But you can store all 4 of the little dragon hands underneath here so that you don't lose them. It's a really wonderful way to keep track of them if you're not going to display him in dragon mode all that often, which, I mean, let's be honest, you're probably either going to display it like this or the full combined mode. So I absolutely love the fact that they have that little spot there on the bottom. I think that's so perfect, so wonderfully done. And then if you want to take your thing of extra hand pieces, you can go back and peg this here where it was previously. And that will allow you to store pretty much everything with the exception of the sword. I don't know of a place to put the sword in this mode to store it, which is a bit of a bummer. But that won't be an issue once we get to the combined mode. So I think this is really cool. I think this looks fantastic. The Dragon Robot mode looks great, has great articulation. I love the hand solution that they came up with. He can hold this really well, nice and securely. It looks great. Articulation, stickers, and everything for this guy look fantastic. So far, they're just batting 1,000, and I love this a lot. Alright, so let's go ahead. Let's get into the combine mode. I'm going to take out the dragon and disconnect all of our components here. So unpeg him. Unpeg this one, unpeg lion, unpeg the firebird. And then honestly, I'm just going to put all of this off to the side. I don't think we'll need any of that. You already know that you have the hand options, so you can pop those in if you would like. We are going to unpeg the helmet, put that down. We have to unpeg. So the way this is connected, it's tabbed in here, but then it's also pegged in inside here. So you kind of have to lift this up and unpeg these connections, and then lift that up, and then that will allow you to unpeg all of this. So you can see that there's a connection right there. So you got to be a little careful with that. We're going to take this. We are going to rotate these 2 pegs down and just kind of hide them like that. And I believe we have to completely disconnect this and put that off to the side. It tells you to take this and just kind of push this up to the side so that it's just kind of hidden in here, which is a little easier said than done. Let me rotate this like that. There we go. So it's a little weird that that just kind of hides up there, but luckily it won't, you know, make it not connect properly or anything like that. Then you're going to pop this section up so we can connect the head to that. And then this section is all set. You're going to take these and you actually just disconnect the arm sections. They're just kind of lightly tabbed in there on these little slots right there. And there's a little peg right there. So disconnect all of that. So the lion really comes to pieces. And I'm going to put the sword over here with him. Next up for the legs, we are going to take this section here and pop that off. Or rotate that out. This is actually going to pop off in a second, but I'll leave it on here for now. Close this up. Close this up. Flip this section around, as you might expect. Now, these do have like ankle tilt, which is awesome, but you can see that there's kind of like this little peg here, and this kind of like doesn't really snap in all that well or hold together. It naturally wants to come apart, so it's not a huge problem, but it's just, in this mode, it doesn't want to hold together all that well because it's constantly trying to engage the ankle tilt. And you can kind of hear it snap into place. It stays a little better for the unicorn than it does for the kirin or griffin. So push this up, flip this around. We'll come back to these in a moment. We're going to go ahead, take the staff off of here, slide this out. And if you want, you can go ahead and take the tail of the Firebird off of there, and that can peg into the top. I think really either side, they're both open. And just pop that on there now to make an additional weapon. So we'll put that off to the side. So we have a decent amount of things to do here with this guy. So we're going to disconnect the head. That's going to completely pop off the ball joint. Then we have to, if you have either of the like non-fist hands on here, I have to slide this off. So I actually do have to bring the sled back momentarily because you need both fists. So let me bring this back in here and slide the other fist on here. You're going to take this and bend this up and down straight like that. Do the same over here. And actually, you're going to raise this up. So there is a little slider in here. So you can see that that black section raised up. So I'll show you again over here. So this is going to raise, well, that I guess you can slide it all the way out. That's not really what you're supposed to do. So let's peg that back in. And then try to get it to slide up. There we go. There is a slide piece in there. I believe this is to clear the old ball joint. That's what I believe that's for. So once you have that set, make sure that this wrist is turned correctly. You're going to pop off this section, and you have to remove the tail. So the tail does not stay here. So wiggle that out. We'll drop that there for now. Then you can go ahead and pop this section back on, but the tail is going to go somewhere else. Now you have to, if you hadn't already, go ahead and make sure that you have the waist joint engaged now by, slipping that piece inside as I showed earlier. Put these out to the side so that these peg holes are facing forward, and then you're going to rotate this like this, and then rotate the feet straight back. So there you go. He is all ready to go there. We're going to come to the legs, and we're going to just completely pull off this gray part. And this is going to peg in to this section here on the thigh. So that's just going to peg in there like that. Then we're going to come to the back of the leg, and all of this is going to pop down. So this is going to pop down, then you're going to want to pull on this. So this whole section will pop down. And inside here, it's going to probably be impossible to see. But these are the U-clips that I was talking about. And so you have to pop the leg in here. It's kind of difficult to get it lined up. And it's not the best system. I really wish it was just a simple peg. I wish that there was just a peg in here. And there was a peg hole here. Or just something like that. But unfortunately, you kind of have to line this up and pop this in. And that's the clip that I know a lot of people are worried about, the stickers. But you can see it kind of fits into like the lowest, like right on this section right here. Once you have that, you can close this back up, but not the full way. Instead of this coming all the way back up, this is going to fold in half and connect in here. And that frees up the knee joint. So if you want to utilize the knee joint, you can, which is kind of cool. We're going to take this section that the gray piece was pegged into, and we need to flip that forward, this little black piece right here, which apparently I should have done it beforehand, so I won't make that mistake on the second one. That's going to flip around, and that goes up, and now that sits there like that. So that is one of our legs connected. So let's go ahead, let's pop this section off, and we will peg that into the thigh over here. We will bring this forward so that we can rotate that black piece forward and then push this back up. Then we're going to take this, pull all of this down, and then we have to connect the leg in here. Try to do it as gingerly as possible. Close that back up and then bring it down like that. And that should be our two legs. You can kind of stretch them apart, engage some of that ankle tilt so that he will stand normally. Let me rotate the camera up. So the next step is going to be to take the Firebird, rotate that head all the way back like that. These pieces here, we are going to flip up, if I can, since I had difficulty with it last time. All the way up. come along. There we go. So we put these all the way up. That's going to expose these two pegs, which we're going to come around to the back. And we're actually going to completely unhook this section here, which was previously pegged into, I believe, the lower set. You can see that there are two sets of peg holes here. I believe it was pegged in to the lower set. So take that off. Then we're going to, I guess we'll have to move the arms out of the way temporarily so that the two pegs on here and here can peg in to these two spots right here on the butt. So we're going to go ahead and peg that in there like so. And then you can go ahead and wrap this around utilizing the joints. So bring this around, bring that in, and you're going to see that that's going to expose two more peg holes, which will come into play in a moment. Then we're going to come back around and we're actually going to put this back on, but now we're going to peg it into the upper set of peg holes. And the reason we do that is it doesn't get in the way of the waist rotation. Otherwise, it would hit into the beak of the Firebird. So let me zoom back out here. All right, now we can start attaching all of the lion pieces. So we're going to go ahead and pop this on. And this really doesn't peg in as much as it just kind of like friction attaches. And you're good to go. We can go ahead and now attach the dragon head onto this new ball joint here, which looks comically small for right now, but it will get better. We're going to take this section. We are going to attach, I think we flip this around. This flips around like that. And then we just hide this behind the lion head. Like that. Or maybe it's like this. Might be like this. Because that's going to fit in this empty section here. This peg and this peg are going to peg into these two spots here. Maybe it was the other way. Let me put it back the other way. So we're going to bring this in. And this is going to attach here. And here. Like that. That might not be pegged in all the way. Honestly, this connection is a little difficult. And it's mostly just because it's hard to kind of grab a hold of the Firebird wing and hold it in place so that it can attach correctly. But that should hold. So that's all set. And again, that's not restricting the waist movement by attaching it directly to the belt. Next, we are going to take these sections, and this little clip is going to flip out here. And then these are just going to kind of sit on top of these. So we'll kind of friction clip that on there and then kind of pop this up like that. We'll take this section. Nope, not that one. This one. And then this is just going to clip over top of the hand. And it does have like an elbow in it, so you can kind of bring that out. Now, unfortunately, you can't get much use out of the elbow because of how much the shoulder piece hangs over top of it, but you can get maybe a 45-degree angle out of it, something like that. So just kind of do what you can with it. So I'm going to pop this over top of this and then kind of give it that little bit of the angle that I can. This is going to flip and then pop on here and then kind of tuck that back up like so. And then we are going to take our helmet and just drop it over top. And that way we can still utilize that ball joint. It doesn't connect to anything. It just kind of drops over top. And then for the absolute finishing touch, we are going to take our sword. And there is a connection spot right here on the side of the Firebird. So if I just move the arm out of the way ever so slightly, I can connect this right here. And there we go. We have a fully realized Dairen'Oh. I think he looks fantastic. I think they did such a good job with this. I really, really like this quite a bit. Again, you can still utilize the full extent of that ball joint here for the head, probably even more so because it can look up and down a lot more than the previous one could. You still have this movement here. Now you can see it is kind of moving the dragon shoulder there. Not really much you can do about that, so it might poke out a little bit from time to time, but not really that big a deal. You can still utilize those butterfly joints as well. You do have this swivel if you don't want to move, so you can kind of move at both joints, so whatever you prefer. Because of the way the shoulders work, you can try to kind of swing this out or move this around and, you know, kind of play with it a little bit if you want, because you do have like full elbows here, but it starts to look kind of wonky the further you take it away. So you kind of want to bring this back in, and so the shoulders limit the elbows a little bit. Still have ball joints in the hands, or I should say at the wrist. And I showed you those other hands. You have a kind of closed set of fist hands. You also have kind of an open set of hands. And then you also have that one that's specifically made to hold the sheath if you want to do the pose of him kind of putting it back into the sheath. You do have that waist swivel that I talked about. You can kick pretty far forward. Now, the problem with that is because you peg this together, like it is still utilizing the same knees and hips and everything from the Dragon's robot mode, but because this wraps around and because this belt buckle piece kind of pegs in, it does limit how far you can kick. So if you wanted to pop that off and open that up, these do kind of have the ability to move, like that is built in to the skirt piece, but because this is pegged in there, then you couldn't do that. Now, if you wanted to avoid that, you could kind of bring that piece that we hid in there and bring that down and then utilize this. But then that would really limit your waist articulation because then this piece is going to be hitting into everything. So it's really up to you what's more important. Would you rather have the waist articulation? Would you rather have the ability to kick super far forward? It's up to you. But even with this connected, he can kick pretty decently far forward. You have the thigh swivel still. You have the knee joint there that you can still utilize. And then, of course, you have that ankle tilt. I mean, that really, really good ankle tilt. Like, there's no problem with that whatsoever. Now, we can go ahead and pop the sword out of the sheath. And as I mentioned earlier, there is one version here where the blade is painted gold. I think this is mostly for, like, the power-up move. I think normally the blade is silver. But then when he charges up, it turns gold. It's up to you. If you want to use the gold one all the time, you want to use the silver one all the time, whatever you want, you have the option. They gave you both blades. You disconnect this. You feed this through the closed fist. And then you just go ahead and peg it back on. And then you can position it how you like. So he's got the sword there. If you also want to use this weapon, same thing. Disconnect this. Slide it through the hand. Peg it back together. And then he can utilize both weapons if you like. Honestly, it's a lot of great articulation. The accessories look good. You can go ahead and pop this open again if you want to see the Dairangers inside. Why will this not open? Alright, maybe you can't pop this open again if you want to see the Dairangers inside. I swear I did this earlier and it wasn't an issue. There we go. So let me get a little bit closer so you can really see them inside there, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, just all in all, I mean, the only real problem I have with the whole thing, the lack of ankles for the robot mode of the dragon, which again, I'm assuming has something to do with the combined mode. The fact that those U-clips kind of scrape the stickers, I'm not super happy about that. It hasn't become a huge problem so far, knock on wood, but we'll see how this holds up. And also, let me move this back up. I will say this moves around a little bit because of the way the legs can move. It does kind of make the skirt have the ability to shimmy up and down a little bit, which is a little weird. But yeah, for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it, I have to say. I'll be interested when Juan Tiger comes out, which I believe just happened. You know, you'll be able to use these other four with Juan Tiger as well, which I'm excited about. So hopefully that'll be really cool as well. And I'm wondering if these pieces being able to connect to that is just for storage in the individual modes, or if it has something to do with how they connect to Juan Tiger, we'll have to wait and see. But either way, he looks phenomenal, and I'm really excited for when we get Juan Tiger because I really want to check that combination out. That was always kind of my favorite combination as a kid, using these four with the Tiger. I like this form as well, but I just thought that form looked a lot cooler. So I'm really excited to check that out. I'm also excited to see the Dragon's robot mode alongside the Tiger's robot mode and see how they scale. I think the Tiger should be a little larger, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just all in all, I think this really came out great. And I appreciate the inclusion of the sled. I do also kind of wish he had a spot to peg in on the sled since the other four do. But I love that you can store everything here on the back so you don't lose it. And then the extra faceplate, if you want to do the attack with the eyes, you do have to kind of pop this one off and then pop that one back on. I don't think it's that difficult to do. I think it's just pegged in here with one spot. So you would just pop that one off and then pop this one on. So it wouldn't be too difficult. But yeah, a lot of great accessories. I love the sled. I love the storage there. Just all in all, I think this one was a ton of fun. So definitely recommend it. If you're a fan of Dairanger, if you're a fan of the second season of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, definitely one to check out, especially with the Tiger on the way. And then they're even doing the giant turtle carrier. So that's going to be insane. I don't know how I'm going to get that one yet. I have to figure that out. But yeah, really, really cool. Good stuff. I really like this quite a bit. It was a fun build. I think the engineering is really cool. The articulation for everything is really great. Hindered in a few spots, but for the most part, really good. Very colorful. The paint applications are great. Stickers, definitely a lot of stickers, so you're going to have to give yourself time there. But really a lot of fun. Looks great. Was a fun build. Very happy with this. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.